Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone, and today I kind of just want to let you know where I'm at right now with the Western Conference going into next NBA season. Obviously, off season, still some things could happen, but nothing's happened for a very, very long time. So I thought this would be a good check-in point at the moment. We're a little under 2 months away now from the NBA season being back, which is really exciting. Preseason is around the corner, media day, things like that. We're almost through it. This has been one of the deadest off seasons I can remember, definitely in my time doing content. Never mind just being an NBA fan. So yeah, I might do one of these for the Eastern Conference too. Let me know if you want to see that. If there's enough interest, I'll go ahead and do that. But yeah, just gonna do it through the lens of this enjoypredictions.com tool. Shout out to them. I'll leave a link down below in the description. But yeah, let's talk about every single team. I think it's pretty universal that people think the Thunder, the Rockets, and the Nuggets, some combination of those three teams, are the top three in the Western Conference right now. Obviously, the Thunder winning the championship, the Rockets having KD, Dorian Finney-Smith, Clint Capella, those types of pieces with a young team around them, and then Denver having Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, those guys, adding in Cam Johnson, Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., Jonas Valanciunas, all those types of players. The question is, standings-wise, where do I think they're going to finish? And this can definitely change. Like, things are going to be different by the time I make my predictions video, like right before the season starts. So yeah, this is just kind of where I'm at the moment. If I had to predict right now, I do still think the Thunder grabbed the 1 seed. Obviously, I'm biased, but they won 68 games last year despite Chet being out with injury. I expect a lot of the young players to get better. The Thunder just have such a historic defense that I think is only going to be even stronger next year. There's such a high baseline when you add an MVP level player in Shea. Obviously, health is never guaranteed. There could be more injuries, like Chet could again miss half the season. Knock on wood that that's not the case. Hopefully it's not, but it's a possibility. So this is just kind of assuming health for the most part, or if there are teams that are historically injured a lot, then I might knock them a little bit on that front. But yeah, I do think the Thunder are going to grab the 1 seed. I've gone back and forth on who I think will get the 2 between Houston and Denver. I do think these will be the 3 teams standing wise, in addition to being the best 3 when it comes to just where they're at. When I think about Western Conference champions potentially, I kind of lean Denver a little bit, maybe because like Houston had the better record this past year for sure. But I just feel like with Houston, I don't expect that much of a gelling period, but maybe there's a little bit of one. Although they also have that really good defense. I don't know. I could see them kind of having a similar record where I feel pretty good about the Nuggets having a better record than they did last season. I'm honestly anticipating both these teams winning like right under or right about 60 games, like 57, 58 up to like 61 between these two teams. I think the Thunder probably win also low to mid 60s if I had to guess, because I could also see OKC taking their foot off the gas a little bit coming off a championship, not really chasing a really high win total. Rest Shea here and there to, go for the repeat. So I think this is where I'm at right now. Although the Rockets, they haven't won it before, so maybe they chase it a little bit. But I could also see them, resting Kevin Durant to have him ready for the playoffs, because obviously that's a much bigger aspiration of theirs now. I don't know. I'm very back and forth between these two. And then at the bottom, I feel very good about Utah being the last team. Phoenix, I feel good about being 14, but everything in the middle is very up in the air for me. There are a few teams, I think the next 2 in the West, in my opinion, are Minnesota and the Clippers in some order. Right now, I lean the Clippers at 4 because this past year, they were very successful in the regular season, despite Kawhi, not being ready to play at the beginning of the year. And obviously, it's always a question mark with Kawhi Leonard if he's going to be able to play a majority of the season. It's an older team, so maybe they rest guys. But even if they rest guys, they've got such good depth. Zubac took a massive jump forward. I think John Collins is going to be really good. Bradley Beal, despite people thinking he's way overpaid or was way overpaid, now of course in a lower contract, is still a really good player. I think he adds to that. And Minnesota, it was bumpy in the first half of the year. They really got it clicking in the second half. Obviously made it to a second straight Western Conference Finals. But I think if I had to pick, I'd probably put the Clippers over the Wolves at the moment. Now, could Minnesota or the Clippers sneak into one of those top 3 spots? Maybe if there are injuries, but I really do think that is the top tier. And then I'm sure people are going to ask about the Lakers, Golden State, Dallas, these 3 teams at the top of the list right now. I imagine most people would probably put in these next few spots. Maybe some people with Memphis. I know a lot of people think San Antonio could take a jump. But back down at the bottom, I think New Orleans and Sacramento, 12, 13 in some order, are my next 2 teams. I just don't think either squad is particularly good. I think Sacramento is a bit more talented talented than New Orleans, and I trust the health of them a little bit more. But, you know, if New Orleans is actually healthy for once, they could jump a little bit. Maybe they get up to 11. But I think my 11 is Portland. Like, I think these are my lottery teams. I love what Portland did down the stretch of last season. There's a lot of talent, but they don't have, like, a guy, you know, like every team above them does, especially when we come, you know, over to this play-in battle here. Like, I think right now, if you ask me, I think San Antonio would probably be my 10 seed. I don't think they're going to take the big leap. I don't think they're quite there yet. I think they need a little bit more help for Wemby. But I guess if he takes this huge leap, which is very, very possible, he's already in conversations, or would have been if he didn't, you know, miss the back half of the season for All-NBA first team. He's that caliber of player already at this point, if you ask me. I expect him to kind of elevate everybody around him, but it still feels like they're figuring out exactly what the identity of the team is beyond Victor Wembanyama. And the hope is there'll be this amazing defense, and that could propel them up to like a 9 or an 8. Like, I think Memphis could drop. They right now are my 9, I think, just because, again, I don't know how healthy John Moran is going to be. That's always a question mark. Jaren always misses a few games. And then they're just relying on a lot of youth, and KCP has been pretty bad, you know, going from Denver to Orlando. I just don't know if he's going to turn it around immediately in Memphis. It's a team that I don't think has a lot of great shooting, because if KCP is not back in a big way, then he and John Moran are a really underwhelming shooting backcourt, and Zach Edey's not a shooter, and Jalen Wells was pretty solid, but he's nowhere near like consistently knocked down. He's not like a 40% guy, and Jaren has these big ups and downs. I think defensively, they could be really, really good. You know, KCP is going to help with that, and Jaren, Edey gives them a big body. They've got some good guys off the bench. Ty Jerome helps out offensively. He's a shooter. So, like, there is stuff to be optimistic about with Memphis, but it was just such a disaster end to the season after I was, you know, buying in on them. I'm like, this seems really good. They were just so outclassed in the first round and down the stretch of the season. Losing Desmond Bane, trading him away, is going to be, I think it's going to be a big hit, especially early in the season. It's going to take a lot of adjusting. So I do think Memphis, San Antonio right now, in my opinion, are kind of like these 9-10 teams. I could see a road where San Antonio gets up to a 9, maybe even an 8. I don't think that's out of the question, because I think Dallas is this next team. I've talked about this a few times here on the channel now. I don't have Dallas as this powerhouse contender like some people do. Some people think Dallas is going to like shock the world and be a top few seed. I just think without Kyrie Irving for maybe all of the season, I think the offense is going to struggle. There will be growing pains for Cooper Flag. As good as he is, there will be some low lows, as you know, there's also going to be massively high highs for a player of his caliber. I'm nowhere near a Cooper Flag doubter. I'm a big truther when it comes to him. I don't love D'Lo being like the lead guard. You know, there's just so much front court depth. I really feel like they should swap some of that out. Like, I think they should trade a Gafford. Obviously, they extended him, so that's probably not going to happen. They're not going to deal Lively, obviously not Anthony Davis, but I really think they should swap out like a Gafford or a Najee Marshall, like some piece in that front court for more help in the backcourt. I really think that's something that they could use. Clearly, you know, Nico Harrison has this vision of a million great front court players. They're going to be really big. They're going to be imposing, defensive, fight you on the glass. And yeah, that's definitely going to get them some wins, but I think there will be lows. And obviously, you know, AD is always a threat to miss a few games here and there. And then 6-7, you know, between like the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors, I don't know who's going to get comments about the 6-7 thing. Lakers, Warriors at these spots. I think just for the moment, because the Warriors, we're still figuring out, you know, what's going to happen with Kuminga. Reports are they might bring in Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton whenever that gets rectified. But for the moment, I think Lakers 6 and the Warriors at number 7. Like, if you ask me, I think this is kind of where I'm at right now in the Western Conference. Like, it hurts to put the Warriors down here because they were so good. I mean, maybe there's a world where they end up like a 5 or a 6. The Lakers drop back down. But I do think that there are issues with this Warriors team. Obviously, the big three is really old with Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond. I think that could lead to them, you know, lacking a bit of a step, not because of those guys, but you're just playing a lot of really young, athletic teams in this Western Conference. Like, you're going up against an OKC or a Houston, for example. You know, the Lakers, I worry a lot about that defense. I do, and maybe that's enough to drop them below Golden State. Like, if I'm just assuming the Warriors are going to bring in Al Horford, who's also older, but it's like Pod's going to give you something consistently. There's too many unknowns with Golden State. I don't think the Lakers are an incredible team. I think they're a good team when you have Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves. Like, their offense is going to be sick. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, of course it is. But I just think defensively, and we saw it against Minnesota in that series, they're going to get really exposed by good teams that can just put them in the blender a lot. It's a bad defensive team. The starting lineup of Luka, Reeves, LeBron, Rui, and DeAndre Ayton, it's not doing much for me on that defensive end. Maybe Marcus Smart somehow sneaks in there and they bench Reeves, which I really can't see them doing, but maybe they try that. Maybe they move LeBron to the 4 to try and put Marcus Smart in, but then you get smaller. I don't know. I've been trying to think of ways the Lakers can kind of mask some of this defensive weakness, but I just think it's going to come down to rotations and never outside of like closing and opening moments, having Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves all out there, because I think defensively, if they really buy in and put in a lot of effort, it can work, but they're not going to do that for a consistent 82 games, and I think that leads into a little bit less regular season wins than like a Minnesota or a Clippers. So yeah, I think this is where I'm at right now in the Western Conference, trying to think if there's any team I didn't really talk about. Obviously, I didn't talk about like Utah and Phoenix. I feel pretty good about them being the bottom 2 teams. I've seen some people hype up Phoenix a little bit. They're like, I think they could sneak up a little. I just think they're nowhere near as talented as some of these other squads. Like if New Orleans is super, super injured, then maybe, but that even feels like a big stretch. I think there's a couple of pretty clear tiers in the West at the moment, the more that I've thought about it. I think it's OKC, Denver, and Houston at that top tier. Then I think it's like the Clippers, the Wolves, the Lakers, the Warriors, Dallas, like that kind of group. And then I think it's like a Memphis, a San Antonio, and Portland, and maybe I could throw Sacramento, but I'm just so out in the Kings at this moment. And like kind of New Orleans. Maybe it's like Portland, Sacramento, New Orleans, that little tier, kind of up towards like the Clippers, down to Dallas, Memphis, and San Antonio, kind of in their own like 9-10 type spot. And then Phoenix, Utah in a tier. But yeah, this is where I'm at right now in the Western Conference. There'll be a lot of really fun series that come out of this. I'd love to see Ant and Randall go up against Kawhi, James Harden. Obviously, that's really fun there. You get a Kevin Durant versus LeBron series in the first round here, 3-6. Luka going, of course, up against the Houston Rockets, that great defense, and Amin Thompson. What is he able to do against a player of Luka's caliber who's apparently in great shape is what we're hearing. You get to see Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler go up against the Denver Nuggets. Jimmy looking for revenge from the 2023 finals there. This would set up Thunder versus Dallas if the Mavericks make it out of the play-in and hold on that 8 spot, which, I know a lot of people want to see that rematch. It's very, very different from what we saw in the playoffs last year, but it would be fun to watch that really big defensive Dallas team go up against the defensive Oklahoma City, trying to slow down Shea. How are they able to pull that off? In future matchups like Denver, Houston, I think that those 2 teams are on a collision course eventually. And then, it's either the Thunder against the Wolves in a Western Conference Finals rematch, or it's Shea going up against the Clippers, and it's James Harden there and Kawhi Leonard and this really deep Clippers team. Can this veteran squad pull something off and make it to a conference finals? Like, there is a lot to be excited about there. Or maybe the Lakers pull off the upset over the Rockets, and then you get another, like the millionth Lakers versus Denver series, and maybe the Lakers make something different happen. Luka versus Jokic, really fun battle there. 2 of the greatest offensive players I've ever watched with my 2 eyes. And LeBron James throwing the mix is always going to be fun. But yeah, this is my Western Conference thoughts at the moment. I do think it's going to be really hard to predict exactly how this goes, because the more I think about it, I'm like, maybe I do something like a this, and then like a that. I don't know. Let me go and move it back so in case anybody screenshots or wants to look at this later. This is where I'm at in the Western Conference right now. I feel good about it, like decent about it. It'll change, I'm sure. Like there will be moves, and by the time I'm making my full predictions video in a little under 2 months, I'm going to have different opinions. Possibly, maybe I just stick with this. Maybe we get there. But I'd love to hear, what does your Western Conference look like? Like, let me know down below in the comments where you have teams ranked. What's your biggest discrepancy with my list? Some of your thoughts on the West. And again, if y'all want to see this for the Eastern Conference, let me know down below. Again, subject to change. These are not my official predictions going into next season, but this is where I'm at right now, less than 2 months out from the NBA season. So I appreciate you watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all later. Real Wednesday back.